Yeah, well, we sign our Microsoft on a regular basis, but I don't think we're alone. So,
That's right.
and the truth is an absolute defense. So,
That's true.
yeah.
It's like we're live.
Yep, there we are. Scary any way you take it. Pop the chat out. There it is.
It's like I'm not going to get my MacBook Pro until end of the month.
Right now mine is in Japan. It's on its way.
Oh,
so
good.
It's showing me a date of the 15th.
You'll have it before my work one.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no sympathy, David.
I know, because it isn't costing me anything.
With work buying it for you. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Tough go there, David.
I know.
Tough it out.
Hey.
Yeah.
But it is the basic mile. I couldn't bump it up. I felt guilty. He said, you sure that's what you want? I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's enough.
Well, I'm going to be quite anxious to see, what I notice about things. With 64 gigs of RAM, and the fast SSD, I think that's going to be really interesting.
Should be. I tell you what, though, I've set up 2 of the 3 those Logitech Rally cams. They're really nice cameras. I'm really impressed with them.
Logitech Rally Cam?
Yeah, that's the camera I've been installing. It comes with the head unit, and then it's got the extension unit, and the 2 connect via a Cat6 cable.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And then you got 2 speakers with it, and you got the nice microphones set on the table. All you do is put USB and HDMI, and you're in. And the camera is really good quality.
Well, I'm on somebody else's website.
Yeah, it's called the Rally Plus, or Rally Cam Plus.
Logitech Rally. There we are.
Yeah.
4K PTZ conferencing camera. Oh,
yep.
$1,400.
I was going to wait for you to see the price.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, $2,500.
Okay. Oh shoot. Yeah. You're doing you're doing the whole setup.
Yeah, we have to.
Okay.
Yeah. That's for a conference room. Yeah. This is not something for sitting on your computer screen.
See, I think this is really fascinating that that your company is deciding to go this way with all of the issues around, remote working and all. I mean, what we found is a bit of a challenge. Even if you're in a room, I mean, and you have a camera. Now, I haven't seen the results of this one, but
through Teams.
Through Teams, but even so, the idea that in my opinion, it seems to be more effective, although not everybody has one. But if you have a laptop or an iPad in front of you, just join from there and go.
Right. Right.
Now you do have we have seen some feedback issues trying to decide. Okay, so only one person can have their audio or their mic on.
Right. There's a step to say do not use computer audio if you're in the same room because it'll feedback.
Yeah, but I think this to me would have been ideal for pre-COVID, with trying to transition. In the era of COVID, does it make sense? Hey, I don't know. Depends on what your employer is going to do.
I think a lot of companies are trying to get people to come back to the office is really what's happening. They want, because as we all miss the interaction with people. But we still want to give the option. I think companies do want to give the option to have a hybrid, so you can have some people from remote and some people in the meeting room. So,
well, this is becoming a favorite topic of mine because I think that you're going to have to, whether you want to or not, there's going to have to be a hybrid work model of some kind.
Oh, no question.
If not, I've already seen people leave job A for job B strictly on the basis of the fact that I want to work from home 3 to 5 days a week, and you won't let me. So,
Right.
Mr. Gammett, you're there.
There.
I am right here.
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Mr. Joyner, you are right here.
I am right here. I am right here.
As are you, Mr. Ginsburg.
Mr. Gammett, I am here.
This is a very formal bunch tonight. Wow. So I'm glad you like our topic, Jeff.
Yeah, that was good. I like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know,
But you don't want to talk about the polishing cloth?
Oh, we'll get to that.
that's actually the only reason I'm here.
I saved the box and everything. It's ready to go.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Well, and it sounded like Andrew. Let's see, what did Andrew get? Andrew got
He got the AirPods and
the
the
watch.
AirPods and the watch.
Yeah.
See,
yeah, so
it cleans the phone really nicely.
well,
Whoa, your phone is so shiny now.
yeah. For $18, it should come with some little guy in pantaloons that comes and polishes it for you.
I'd pay $19 for that.
It has a little insert that gives you a warning about it,
About the pantaloons?
about the safe for Apple display for all Apple displays. I don't think you can get one of these until like February now at this point.
Yeah.
Which I find crazy.
And Warren got the Apple cloth too. Wow.
Warren gets everything.
He gets everything. That's not unusual.
You guys must be just rolling in money to pay $18.
Warren is.
Hmm. Oh man. So Jeff, thank you for taking a look at that for me.
Your thank you is premature. I've been working on an article all day.
There's no hurry. I there's absolutely no hurry. I've been doing it this way for 2 years. So, but I just I kind of realized like, okay, that's one of those things I should really get around to fixing. And I'll be darned if I can figure out what I'm doing wrong in my Automator workflow, because it even has a little graphic symbol there that should deliver what it is that I'm looking for, and that's the properly resized photo with the bars. But I can never get to it, no matter what selections I apply. That's never what it will spit out.
Yeah, what you're describing sounds vaguely familiar. Meaning, I think that I've had to deal with this specific issue at some point. So once I start playing with it, what I'm assuming is I'll very quickly go, oh, right, I remember now, and
Right.
be able to remember what it is that I did to overcome the problem you're having.
Well, and listen, I'm not tied to Automator. I mean, if there's a better solution out there, or an as easy solution or whatever, I don't care. I will happily pay for a utility that will give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to start throwing money at utilities and then find out, oh no, there are 23 steps to do this. And
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. If there's that many steps, then there's no value for you.
Yeah, exactly. Because I already have programs. I can do it in 23 steps.
Right.
Mm.
You might get a polishing cloth I'm seeing here, Chuck, because it looks like it comes with the new MacBook Pro.
Ooh. Yeah, for what I paid, it should come with a new
Yeah.
Yeah.
To remove dust or splashes from your nano texture glass screen, use only the polishing cloth that came with your. It's saying the Pro. Oh, it came with a Pro display and an iMac. Excuse me, maybe not the MacBook Pro, but this is an old. This might be an old article too. It's possible.
It's possible, but I doubt it. So where is everybody? 3 minutes till showtime. Well, we have Webb and Paul and David who have checked in the chat, but it says there are 4 people. I don't know. Jeff, are you number 4? or is there somebody else?
You were
hiding?
talking and I wasn't listening to a word you said. I'm sorry.
I said that, excuse me, it says there are 4 people watching the live stream, and we have Paul, we have Webb, and we have David confirmed in. Are you the 4th?
I am not.
You are not. Okay, so then we have a mystery person hiding.
Rogue.
Oh, hi,
Yes.
mystery person.
Yes, hello, mystery person. Check in. We'd like to know who's here spying on us.
Guy might be voting. Virginia's voting today.
Hmm.
We have it easy in Colorado, just like the rest of the country should. Ballots mailed out to us a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember seeing you put it in the box.
Yeah. So plenty of time to finish your research and complete your ballot, and then go drop it off.
Oh, you mean physically drop it off?
Physically drop it off at a secure drop box right
Okay.
outside the courthouse. And Colorado does this cool thing where when you sign up for notifications, you get a text message telling you your ballot has been mailed and is on the way. And then when you drop it off, you get a text message after they've taken everything out of the Dropbox, and the message says your ballot has been collected and confirmed.
Nice.
And then once it's actually physically processed, then you get the follow-up message: your ballot has been processed and you have voted.
That's okay. I had to fill out an American Community Survey for the U.S. Census Bureau, and it said I had to do it by law, so I just did it.
We don't want you going to jail, so
No, so I did it.
Unless they have Wi-Fi there, then go right ahead. Hello,
Uh,
Jim.
Where is everybody? Good thing I showed up.
Yeah, well, I know Andrew's coming. I'm not sure if Brittany's going to stop in briefly or not. So
Kelly will probably come.
yeah. Well,
She likes to make sure I'm not the last one. I'm
that's
sure
so
that's
sweet.
I'm sure that's why she does it that way. Yeah, very, very considerate.
well, it's 8:00. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Just because there are a number of things we want to touch on here. So let's see. The live stream is streaming. People have checked in the chat room. So let's do this. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to
Pantalones.
What?
I've lost that. I've missed that. Okay, let's try it again. Let's see what we get this time. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is MacVoices Live. Goodness, sorry about that. We are back after a week off to talk about Apple stuff, new products and new gear and all kind of things. I'm delighted to be back. It is 8:00 Eastern, 5:00 Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. We are in the YouTube chat room at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. That's where you should be too, to comment on what we're doing and how we're doing it. And we'd love to have that input. So if you are joining us today, great. If not, well, maybe next week you can put it on your calendar and get here. So we're starting off, we expect a few more panelists, but for right now, we're just going to go with the stars of the show, taking it in my screen order. Goodness. Sorry, guys. Taking in my screen order, as I always do, Mr. David Ginsburg. Boy, I'm off today. David, welcome.
Let you catch up there. Hey, Chuck, great to be back. Well, you were 1 week, and I was going through withdrawal and missed being on the show here. So I'm so glad we're back here to have some fun talking about Apple, because there's plenty to talk about.
Well, last week at Showtime, I was just finishing up a drive through the bomb cyclone that was hitting the East Coast. It was an exciting drive, and I was thinking about you guys and thought, yeah, don't think I could do a show from the road out here with this. No, not a good idea. Not a good idea. Jeff Gammon is here. Jeff,
Speaking
welcome.
of not a good idea,
No, you're always a good idea.
Oh,
You're always a
gosh.
good idea. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing all right. And Chuck, I know it's only 1 week off, but it felt like forever.
Did.
It did for me too. Yeah. It's just it's funny how that works, but this has become such a regular part of all our routines that I missed all you guys. Speaking of missing, Mr. Jim Ray is not missing. He is here. Jim, good to have you.
I completely forgot that I'd ever done this before.
Well,
I'm new to the
then-
show this week, Jim Ray.
You guys look familiar. Have I seen you somewhere?
in the post office, Jim, on the wall.
Or on a milk carton.
Well, yeah, there's that too. So we have a couple things we want to talk about tonight, but one of the big ones is new Apple products that any one of us might have received. Hint, hint, hint. So I guess the big question is who got what so far? I know a lot of us have things on order, but what do you actually have in hand? And David, I know you have something in hand, so we're going to start with you.
All right. I have the polishing cloth. So this is an interesting product, I must admit. This is probably one of the thicker cloths I've ever seen. I mean, it's solid. I mean, I don't. Some people may have saw the iFixit teardown, which I found to be very amusing. It came in this small little box, and it's a nice little cloth. It's good for the new screens on the MacBook Pros and anything else. Of course, it's about 10 to 12 weeks out in shipping, so you can't get them at this point for $19. Not a bad thing. Keeps my iPhone nice and clean, and my iPad, and my current MacBook Pro screen. So nothing exciting as a MacBook Pro, which I will be getting from work in about 3 weeks. But yeah, there you go. And it's got, of course, it's got to have the Apple logo. I don't know if anybody can see it, but it's right there.
The rest of them are probably all on a ship off the coast from my house.
Could be.
Why didn't you swim out and grab some for us, please?
That's right.
I should change my background to a picture of the ships in the background.
The ships, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, David, is it worth $19?
Probably not. I don't know if anybody. I mean, I've got so many cloths, that are perfectly fine for what they do. But it's Apple. You gotta, I had to have it. It's a $20 investment here. But no, all seriousness, I probably would say, I don't think everybody's gonna need it. All seriousness, they do say that this is rated to work with the new displays that are on the MacBook Pros. So that's why they introduced it. I don't know if they're going to, we were just talking about a pre-show, if it's going to come with the MacBook Pro. I would tend to doubt it, but this was also the similar cloth, I guess, was being used for the Pro XDR displays and the iMac. I don't know if it came with the iMac or not, but
If that came with the new MacBook Pros, it wouldn't be available for $19.
that's true.
It seems to me at one point the MacBook Pros, they said, were glass, and you could just clean them like glass. Did that change at some point, or?
I don't remember that ever being the case. I
Yeah.
even remember when they shipped iClear with the optic grade cleaning cloth and this little spray bottle right in at that point it was the PowerBook packaging. And they've always been very clear about you can't use like traditional glass cleaners on your display. That will ruin it.
I don't think they wanted Windex, but there's this foam glass cleaner that is just glass cleaner that they were like, yeah, that's fine.
Wow. I don't remember that. But to be fair, I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Beans.
Jeff, I'm like you. I don't remember that. I mean, I know there's always a lot of concern, I think, about any of the new electronic screens, whether it's, the screens in your car or your new big screen TV or whatever is, exactly what should you use on it. And that's where some of these specialty electronic devices, products have come out for screen cleaning, but I don't remember just, anybody ever saying treat any of these just like glass. Well, not sure.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Mm.
What I want to know is the material that Apple is using so radically different that that products like who makes the awesome little keyboard covers, RadTech, can you not use a RadTech screen or keyboard cover cleaning cloth on your MacBook Pro display now? I mean, of course you can use it, but is it safe to use?
Yeah,
it is, because I just put a link of our actual item for sale, and it has their complete compatibility list, and it's the long list: iPhone, iPad, MacBook Pros, iMacs, displays. So Apple endorses that it's compatible with all these devices.
Well, I mean, like the RadTech cloth. Can
Yeah.
you use that on the new displays?
Good question.
the RadTech cloth, I have the page up right now. It says right now it's only up to the 16-inch MacBook Pro 2019, 2020.
Hmm.
So I would imagine they're in the process of figuring that out and updating it. Before we go farther, I want to make sure that our viewers know that Andrew Orr has joined us. Andrew, good to have you back as always.
Hey, I made it. Good to be here.
We're just talking about who got what new products, and you seem to be one of the ones that scored biggest and best, at least so far.
Yes, I got the Apple Watch Series 7, and I also decided to get the AirPods that were recently announced. I do have the AirPods Pro, but I was kind of tempted to get these new ones too.
Okay, so what made you, I mean, if you had the AirPods Pro, why did you want these? Are they a backup, or do you see some feature that they have that you like better?
I think these are mostly a backup. So my AirPods Pro, they had that problem that Apple has officially announced where it's like some background buzzy noise. I noticed this when after a while, I noticed this when I activated either the noise cancellation, or the transparency mode. And Apple does have a repair program for this. I've just never really gotten around to sending that in.
Yeah, I did it.
So I just decided, well, in the meantime, why didn't I get these?
Okay. So how do you like them? I mean, what is your experience so far?
I do like them. Yeah, I do miss the noise cancellation. I think that is helpful in certain situations where I'm listening to something and I'm also, doing something loud, like doing the dishes or maybe going for a walk through town. But in my opinion, I think the audio does sound a little bit better than even the AirPods Pro in the past. Like there's more bass that I notice, and the sound, like I'm not an audiophile, so I can't really say anything specific, but the sound overall just sounds more full to me, if that makes sense.
Now, is that for music, Andrew, or are you just talking about normal phone calls or whatever?
I've noticed this in music and the podcasts that I listen to.
Okay. Very good. Anybody else have the new AirPods? Nope. Okay.
Yeah, with
And
AirPods Pro, I couldn't come up with a good reason why I needed the new AirPods.
Yeah. I mean, I have a set of the original, the older AirPods, not the newly released ones, along with my Pros, and I find that they're both good for different things as far as I'm concerned, but mainly because I tend to wear them so often and so much during the day that I need to let one set charge while I'm using the other. So if I really need the noise cancellation, or want this the slimmer fit, if you will, then I'll make sure that's the one that is charged for those uses. Otherwise, I'll just use them interchangeably. So, but Andrew, one other question that I'm really curious about. There was I haven't seen a lot of discussion about this either. But there has been a little discussion of the fact that they look a little different, so therefore we would think that they would fit maybe a little different. Do you find any difference in those compared to the AirPod Pros?
So they do look different. The design is similar to the AirPods Pro, except that they don't have the rubber ear tip at the end. For me, for my ears, I've always felt that the AirPods were comfortable. This is going back to the regular earpods of old, right? Like that design, just something about it has always been comfortable for me. I've tried other headphones in the past where they're in ear, and I don't know I don't know if my ear canals are small or what, but other earpods have made my ears just uncomfortable, I guess. But even the AirPods Pro with their tips, they felt comfortable for me. And so with these new AirPods, they combined the design of the AirPods and the EarPods. And so like to me, it's still like, this is great.
Okay. So Jeff, I know you said you have AirPods Pro. David, you have AirPods Pro or?
I have the AirPods Pro. I also have the first generation AirPods I use as a backup. But I was just going to make the comment. I did get my AirPods Pro replaced by Apple for that crackling sound. So it was a very seamless process. They took my AirPods Pro and they had to do a test. It was about an hour. I had to wait, and then they tested them, and then they immediately just gave me a new pair of the AirPods Pro themselves. I kept the case, so it was pretty easy. As long as I believe they had to have been purchased prior to October of 2020. So if you purchased them after that date, they may not cover it.
So Dave,
see, for me, I think I did purchase mine before that date, but my problem is like the closest retail Apple store to me is 3 hours away. So I just didn't really, I guess, want to go through the hassle of trying to mail them in and, having that delay and whatever.
Sure.
Jeff, you were going to say something.
Oh, Dave, I was curious about the crackling sound.
Mm-hmm.
So exactly when were you hearing it?
It happened actually while we're doing this show a few times. I would have I thought I had the volume up too high, so I would turn the volume down. But it would, anytime I would start speaking, it would actually crackle as I was speaking. I would hear it like it was like picking up my voice for some reason. When I would hear you guys or anything else, it sometimes would crackle, but I think that was really where I started noticing it right away. I'm like, wow, this just started, because it was fine up to that point. So it just was recently, within the last couple months, that I noticed it. Because I had them, I bought them when they first came out, which was in October 2019. So I had them for 2 years now. So I did. That's when I noticed it.
Interesting. I think I've been experiencing the problem and assuming it was just how the tips were fitting in my ears, and it was making the silicone vibrate. And apparently sometimes I'm just kind of lame and don't realize that a problem is actually a problem. Great. Well, that's another thing to add to my to-do list.
Yeah, just bring them in. They'll run an audio test on them, and they'll determine right away that they're failed. I mean, I was also using some aftermarket, the third party tips on them too. So when I was using them, that's what I was using. I've reverted back now to the standard Apple ones that are in my ear now. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I tended out it because Apple tested it and they found them to be defective. So based on the criteria they had for that program. So, but it definitely was crackling.
Great.
Webb in the chat room says, I also had the same crackling problem with the AirPods Pro and had them ultimately replaced at the local Apple store.
Mhm.
So that's 2 out of, let's see, well, Jeff, if you have it too, that's 3 out of 4 of us. And I'm the Lone Ranger that has not had the problem.
Right.
Um,
and
so
yours are probably the original models from 2019.
maybe so, yeah. But I've had absolutely no issues with them. So,
Yep.
Jim, how about you? Are you an AirPods person of any stripe?
I'm really not. I have an original pair, and I haven't used them for I don't know how long. I carry them around. They're in my pocket all the time. I should check and see if they have any charge. But I've never really liked anything in my ears. I never was able to use the ear pods with the wires. They would always fall out. And the AirPods were a little bit better, but I still had a problem with them falling out. And I find them kind of annoying in my ear. So when the Pros came out, I thought, well, should I double down for a $250 device I might not really like? So I use I have Bose 700 noise canceling headphones that I use a lot, and I have this thing called a boomerang that looks like a horseshoe that goes around your neck. That I use that a lot, and I love it. So I think I've kind of dropped out of the Apple listening thing.
Well, for me, I mean, for years I used a set of Etymotics to do the show, and those are ones that they go in, they seal really tight, and I mean, very little sound was getting in. Now, and I'm not sure if maybe I just don't have AirPods that fit properly, but I've never, no matter what AirPods I've had, I don't get that same seal. Now, I guess my expectations were that I wouldn't. So I get, some ambient sounds around. I mean, it still definitely cuts out some of the outside noise. And definitely, again, with the noise canceling, I definitely noticed a difference. But for the most part, these just, but on the other hand, I can shake my head around. I'm not going to do it now because I'll probably fall off the chair.
No,
But
do it,
I can
Chuck.
shake.
Do it.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah. Yeah. Workers' comp.
Weren't the Etymotic custom molded to each person's ears?
You could get them that way, but they sold them with different tips. And actually, I picked those up at Macworld, and they gave me a set of extra small tips because apparently I have extra small ear canals. And even those, after a few hours, they got to be okay. I need to let my ears breathe or something. Just got a little bit uncomfortable. So, but I love the sound of them. They sounded phenomenal. But that I always viewed those as something a bit more of a, as Andrew said, an audiophile solution than for something casual like this. Before we leave the Andrew, when you came in, we were discussing the cleaning cloth. And before we leave that, I want to point, yeah, David's really proud of his. I want to point, we were kind of making fun of him. What did you say, David? $19.
$19.
And
I put a link in our chat too.
Okay. And yet, Jeff and I both right away were advocating for the RadTech screensavers cloth. And right now they are at $10.99 for one cloth. I'll compare all that to if you go on Amazon and just type in microfiber cleaning cloths, you might get a 3-pack to a 5-pack for somewhere between $8.95 and $12.95. So, I'm not sure. Once again, I'm not sure Apple is as far out of the ballpark as some people would like to make them seem. On the other hand, it definitely does seem to be a premium price for something that, is kind of tough to just on the surface ascertain the difference. So, for what it's worth.
And it doesn't
Andrew?
have chamfered
Yeah, I mean-
edges.
What did you say, Jeff?
And it doesn't have chamfered edges.
Yes. Yeah, or the Apple logo. Yeah.
Mhm.
Andrew, you got the other thing we want to talk to you about though is you actually have one of the new Apple Watches in hand. or on wrist?
I do. I'm wearing it right now. It's pretty nice, I think. um, it's I haven't had an Apple Watch in a while. My last Apple Watch, I think I mentioned in Slack, was the Apple Watch Series 2. So this is a pretty big upgrade for me because I eventually I was like, I'm not really using this that much, I don't think, so I resold it. Now I think I hope to use this one more because I'm on this new cellular carrier that was different than it was in the past. And so this one actually I can add the watch to my cellular connection. And so I can leave my iPhone at home and take the Apple Watch on a walk or whatever. So far I've been enjoying it.
Which one did you get, Andrew?
This is the silver stainless steel with the Milanese watch band, which to me feels pretty fancy and premium.
That seems pretty fancy to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, stainless steel. Wow.
you splurged.
Yeah, I did.
Says the man who bought the $19 polishing cloth.
Yeah.
Um, which size did you get, Andrew?
This is the smaller one. I think it's a 41 millimeter now. The screen size, like, it seems good to me. I haven't noticed any issues or negative things about it.
Andrew, I've always gone with the smaller size Apple Watch and been very happy with it.
Well, Jeff, then I don't know. Mine is on order, and I went with the bigger size this time. So I'll let you know how it goes.
I always go bigger size.
I did go into to Best Buy and took a look. They didn't, by the way, they did not have the one I wanted, or I would have, bought it right there. But I was kind of surprised that the difference between the 41 and the 45. It'll be interesting to see once it's on my wrist and I'm using it, how much of a difference there is. But looking at it, it didn't seem to be that bad. And of course, the display they had set up that I couldn't put it on my wrist. The most I could do was hold it sort of beside my existing Apple Watch. But it made me feel a little better about ordering the larger one because it just didn't seem like it was going to be that much of a difference, at least for my wrist.
Agree.
So, and who else has, anybody else have Apple Watches on order? No. Okay.
So I also want to point out to people who are listening and watching, something that I saw people were talking about on Reddit. So there's this Apple Watch subreddit, and I was doing a little bit of research, trying to figure out like what are people's views about this, and what are people's like usage with Apple Watches older than the Series 7. And I noticed one thread or a couple of them saying for people who have wrist tattoos, depending on the kind of tattoo, it sounds like they may have issues with the Apple Watch sensor. So from what I understand, it sounds like it might be more with tattoos that are with black ink, because the black absorbs the laser light from the sensor and it doesn't reflect back, which is apparently what the Apple Watch needs. Like it does the blood oxygen reading and the heartbeat reading, and then it has to reflect that light back or whatever to measure it. But thankfully, so I got a wrist tattoo in September. So this is a new one. But thankfully, as I got the Apple Watch, it hasn't seemed to affect anything. Where it sits on my wrist right now, my tattoo is like mostly red and like black lines, but not like solid black. So thankfully, so far, it doesn't seem to be messing with the sensors.
Okay.
And
I
I'm
remember that being
wondering-
a discussion when the Apple Watch first came out.
First come out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm wondering, has anyone ever gotten a tattoo where they left an open circle where the Apple Watch sensors would sit?
Maybe
Anyone
is a
I
pretty
could see
large-
that
to get that.
actually.
No one on this call.
No one on this call. Yep.
No.
Jeff, are you
Mhm.
volunteering to do it for the sake of testing?
I am not. And there's actually a story behind why I won't get a tattoo. And the short version is it actually keeps me out of jail. I am not kidding.
All
Well, we
right,
can't
after
let that
dark,
go.
you have to tell us.
Yeah, we can't
No,
let that
this
go.
is for I will tell the story in the after dark. So the people that are Patreon subscribers, they get to hear the story.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So
We all have to remember this. We can't let them off the
So
hook.
someone's going to remember.
yeah. So I'm not. We'll talk about it after dark, but I just want to make sure we set this up properly. So not getting a tattoo is keeping you out of jail.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, I'm looking forward to this story. Okay, folks, patreon.com/MacVoices if you want to hear the story about Jeff's tattoo, because
Jeff's
I'm
lack
anxious
of
to hear.
tattoos.
Or Jeff's lack of tattoos. Sorry. Andrew, I'll put you on the spot. Do you mind showing us your tattoo? Your wrist tattoo? I don't want to
Sure.
see
I'm
any
glad
other
you
tattoos.
specified wrist tattoo.
Yeah, I did that real quick. Yeah.
So I can also share this in the Slack for a more detailed view. So this is my first one. I'm going to get a second wrist tattoo later this month. These are covering up some old ones. So if you can see,
Oh, yeah.
it
Okay.
is a skull. It's supposed to be a skull and poppy flowers.
But there's a little bit of black ink in there, isn't there?
Yes. Most, like I said, this part is the flowers are mostly red with a little bit of black, but apparently that's not enough, I guess, to absorb that laser light.
I think the people who were having problems, they were like had sleeve tattoos, or they had full up right to at the top of their wrist. That was where the problem, because it was completely covered wherever you would put the watch. So that's where their issue was.
That's probably true, because
Yeah.
that Reddit post I was reading, they did find a solution, but it ended up being they had to put like this little dab of what do you call it, like a hot glue gun to cover part of the sensor
Oh,
to make it like recognize that the Apple Watch was actually on your wrist, I guess.
so you would actually
So-
put it on the Apple Watch sensor?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That'd be a problem for me.
And I know the inks have changed and they've gotten a lot better because, Andrew, I mean, that's a rather colorful tattoo. But I also know that, people, at least in the old days when they got tattoos, after a few years, pardon me, they would often fade. And,
Yeah.
they not near. Now, today's inks, my understanding is that they stay a whole lot more vibrant the whole way through, if at least for a lot longer time, if not completely. Is that accurate? Do you know?
That I'm sure that is also a factor. As far as I know, I don't know about the actual quality of the ink, but one tattoo artist I spoke to said different colors could also fade at different times. Like, a black tattoo is probably going to last longer than, say, maybe green or blue. So there's also that.
Yeah, tattoos last longer at lower altitudes as well. It turns out the reduced UV protection that you get, like here in Colorado, is a problem for tattoos, and the sunlight causes them to fade a lot faster here.
Okay.
It's interesting. I never heard that before, Jeff.
Did we ask you how you know?
You can ask, sure. No, that one I learned from a friend who has a lot of tattoos and was frustrated because they had all these beautiful tattoos, amazing body art, and it was all fading much faster than they expected, and they went and asked their tattoo artist, and they're like, yeah, this is a problem. So, if you want to protect those tattoos and have them last longer, you have to cover them up, which then kind of defeats the purpose of having many of these tattoos.
So yeah, yeah, okay. I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, just go out and buy a set of a white shirt with white sleeves, and then have the tattoo artist put the designs on there, and wear. That'll solve the whole problem, or not. I don't know. Any other new Apple gear that anybody has or is expecting in the next few weeks? Am I the only one?
I think it's you, Chuck.
Okay, so
other than my work laptop, then that's it.
yeah, you notice how he keeps sliding in my work laptop, letting us know that he's not the one funding this, getting it, but
I still have to use it for work though.
yeah, well, yeah, but that's at least they would buy you a Mac. I mean, that's kudos to them for that.
Yeah.
Now, I got an email, or I should not say that. I'm doing the tracking on mine, and my laptop, my MacBook Pro, is in Japan right now, on its way. So we'll see. And my ETA, unfortunately, after the initial order for my watch, the ETA has not changed. So that's not going to be here till November 15th.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know.
I didn't know Apple equipment stopped again.
I'm sorry, Jim, say that again. You broke up a little.
I didn't know that Apple equipment stopped in Japan.
I didn't either. I was kind of surprised, but that's what the tracking is showing. So whether it's taking a different route than things have in the past or what, I don't know, but that's what it said. So you got to believe FedEx, right?
No.
That's a valid response.
So now I'm scared, Jim. Thank you very much for that. Well, we had one other topic that I wanted to bring up, and it came from a MacVoices viewer and listener that I thought was very interesting. And I'm not going to try to read the whole thing because it's rather lengthy. And by the way, thank you for. I don't have permission to reveal the name, so I won't do that. But thank you for a very lengthy and considered set of opinions. But we were taken to task a little bit, along with just about every other podcast, for referring to Apple's smart assistant as the S lady or something of that nature, for referring to Amazon's assistant as the A lady or something of that nature, questioning why we bother, because are we really triggering people's devices if we use the proper names? And I'm still going to use those abbreviations or designations to make sure that we don't. And the question was, and the point was made that when Apple does their commercial and the people on the commercial say, hey, S lady, or Amazon does theirs, and hey, A lady, that the devices never get triggered. And so why are we that concerned about it? And the second point was that aren't these devices getting better, or haven't they gotten better to the point that they recognize your voice if they're properly trained, as opposed to just some random person walking in the room and saying, hey. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys thought. My theory has always been that, first of all, that I think we do it, or did in the early days, to make sure we didn't turn people's devices on. And also just to get into the idea that, okay, that's the nomenclature we're going to use for all of the smart assistants, S, A, and G, for the respective devices. But is that a fair? I mean, or should we just start spouting off their proper names and see what happens?
Well, from experience, I have triggered various S lady routines in people's homes by by saying commands on podcasts. Now, I know for A Lady, and see, and I'm consistent with doing the way I refer to these. With A Lady, Amazon has a tone or some sort of sound sequence that happens when they're doing commercials that tells Echo devices, don't listen to this command. So when Amazon has an Echo commercial and you get a Lady, order me 3 cases of corn thing in the commercial, your Echo doesn't actually order 3 cases of corn. We don't have those tones playing as part of the show. So I could say something like, Alexa, tell me what time it is. And it's very likely that someone's Echo device just told them what time it is. And
unfortunately, they weren't listening to the show.
No, they weren't. They're like, what the? So I started saying A Lady specifically because you can trigger an Echo with just the name. And with Siri, you have to have hey in front of it. And with a Google Home device, there's multiple ways to trigger it. So consistently referring to it as A Lady, S Lady, G Lady stopped me from having to remember which ones I need to use a code name and which ones I don't. And since they were all female in the beginning, or female sounding voices, hence the lady part. So I'm saving myself some brain power by just referring to them all the same way. But the thing with the voice recognition, that's a really good observation. And you can set that up like on your phone, and you can set that up for specific things on your HomePod, but your HomePod can also listen to other people. So for example, my HomePod listens to my voice when I ask what's my next appointment. If someone else asks what's my next appointment, it won't be able to tell them because it's not my voice, but they can say, hey, S Lady, play the new Metallica album. And my HomePod will do that.
So while you were doing that, Paul in the chat room said that his Alexa triggered. Webb also said his just went off. So Jeff, for sake of control, summon the S Lady with the same command and see if it'll do it for them.
Okay. Hey Siri, what time is it?
It's 1841.
I heard yours respond, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and mine's not responding, of course, because I have AirPods in, and David has AirPods in. Jim has his headset on. Andrew, you have something on too, don't you?
You know, here's the thing. I want to mention this for the conversation. I haven't experienced this in a couple of years, but I do the same thing. I say S Lady and A Lady, but there was one time, this only happened once. It was a couple of years ago. I was listening to a podcast and the host said, you know, hey, S Lady, the actual command, you know, right? And I was listening to it on my AirPods, and Siri actually was triggered and tried to respond.
Whoa.
And I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, it's not like this was on the TV or another device and one of the devices picked up on that. It was actually on my AirPods on the same device, but somehow it was still able to trigger Siri. So I think it is a real thing.
That's interesting. Now, Paul and Webb just reported that what Jeff just said to Siri did work. She
So now
gave
you
them the time.
people have special HomePods because they're HomePods that I have triggered for you. You're welcome.
Yeah, you do.
Either that or he snuck into your homes at night and trained them with his voice. There's a disturbing thing.
Commands are coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So to our listener, so there you go. You know that we can do that, and I know we've had to. I've had to edit down a couple things Mark Fuccio has done in a very joking fashion, telling a lady to order 5 gallons of cleaning fluid or something.
I don't think that's what he actually ordered, and it's a good thing you edited.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. So, but so there you go. I mean, and this is exactly why I guess now we have a good reason to justify what we've been doing all this time. But Jeff, I'm with you. I think it's almost a matter of just consistency, so that once I get used to saying those things on podcast, but the funny thing is, I got to thinking about it. We talk about the A lady and the S lady. Some of us do, but not very many mention the G lady.
I have a Google Home device here as well,
Yeah, me
because
too.
clearly I have issues. So
You and me both. We have them all.
we have them all. Okay, Google, what time is it? And now someone's like, seriously? I didn't even know I still had that thing plugged in.
Exactly.
Jeff, I didn't hear yours answer.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. My Google Home is on a Wemo switch. So it is off unless I actually need to use it. And then I say, Alexa, turn on Google Home. And it's coming to life right now.
Now try it.
It's apparently well, here's the problem with Wemo switches. Sometimes they stop responding and you have to unplug them back in. So I don't think my Google Home actually turned on. Oh well.
Doesn't this kind of defeat the whole purpose?
Well, no, because my Google Home is off.
Okay.
So that's a win. The fact that I actually can't use it in this moment, apparently that's a win too.
Okay, so I've got to take it a little farther, and please, everybody else chime in. And David, since you have a device, I don't know if Jim or Andrew have a G-Lady device, but
Alexa, turn off Google Home. I just realized why the Google Home didn't turn on. It's because I unplugged the Google Home and plugged a window fan in, and the window fan's just laying on the couch right now, still plugged in.
so as we see shreds of Jeff's couch flying behind him, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so does that mean that you are comfortable enough with Apple and Amazon to just to let them hear anything, but you're not comfortable enough with Google to let them hear anything?
Correct. And my logic, and I am willing to accept this could be flawed. My logic is that with Google, it's no secret that what I do is something to sell. I am straight up the product, and I am just a commodity to sell for marketing and advertising. With the A lady, Amazon's primary purpose is to get me to stay in the Amazon ecosystem. So they're using whatever data they collect from me talking for their own purposes, which is to sell me more Amazon stuff. And with the S lady, Apple has made it very clear that they don't want to be all up in my junk with listening to what I'm doing and marketing that and selling it. So the A lady and the S lady devices, they stay on, and the Google Home is off unless I need it. And I tell you, sometimes that Google Home is just killer. Like if I need a recipe, that's the best way to do it, because I can just ask the Google Home for the recipe. Not only does it find exactly what I need, but it walks me through the instructions. It sets the timers when those need to happen. And I mean, it is like fracking brilliant. And Amazon and Apple are failing for not copying stuff like that.
Now here's my Google Home and it's reflecting, but I have it sitting right next to me and there is a switch on the back and I'm sure it's what Jeff does too. You flip the switch, it turns it off and then you can't ask it a question because it's like muting it basically on the back here. But, if I say, okay, Google, what's the weather? I mean, it gives me, very easy. And then it's telling everybody where it is. So what the weather is. Same thing. Like if I want to watch a YouTube video, I like to transfer off of my screen and be able to watch it right here on my Google Home. I do that and say, okay, Google, play whatever I want to watch, and it'll usually bring it up and do it. So, but I'm with Jeff. I don't mind it with Siri or with the lady that it's on. And it's in my thermostat, my Ecobee. I've got one in the bathroom. I got one. Then my Sonos Move has it built in, but I opt to turn that one off. But yeah, I mean, privacy always is a concern, but they don't bother me.
Interesting. Andrew, Jim, do you guys have any of the smart assistants? I mean, obviously you have the S Lady on some of the Apple devices, but do you have any of the others and do you actively use them?
I haven't, but
I
I've
don't.
never plugged in.
I'm sorry, Jim, you never plugged yours in?
No, but it was free.
Okay.
It was like an Echo Dot I got with something, and I got it, and I never took it out of the box. And I very rarely use Siri. Also, my wife likes to use it, and she's always saying things to it, and I'm like, that's not going to work, and it usually doesn't. But
but I'm sure the one time it does work, she totally gloats.
now she doesn't even know. I just sort of say it under my, like, in my head.
And Andrew, you said you don't have.
Maybe she's watching, so I'm in big trouble now.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. And Andrew, you don't have anything other than the S Lady?
No, I don't have anything about Google or Alexa when it comes to smart home devices. I do agree with what Jeff said, though. So as I kind of my Apple Watch on Siri just activated right now. So that proves that it is listening all the time. And that was what I was going to say. So what I was reading about the Apple Watch Series 7, or maybe some previous models, is that all you have to do is like raise your wrist. You don't have to say hey, S Lady. You can just raise your wrist and speak a command and it will recognize that. So kind of like the iPhone, it does sound like it's listening in certain spurts. Like, I don't remember what the numbers are, like every so often, every 30 seconds or every 60 seconds or whatever. But like Apple, as far as we know right now, they're not doing anything with our data when it comes to advertising. Google, they are. If you've read in the news, they've had some weird thing with Facebook, and there's all these papers now. But I agree also with Amazon. They're just focused on their own ecosystem. So
yeah, I mean, I agree with Jeff too. In fact, to the point that I don't have a G-rated device in my home. As much as for the surveillance factor is just that I haven't felt the need to have yet another one. I do find that the A Lady is pretty responsive, and there's some things she'll do with the Fire TV that obviously Siri can't or won't because it's not built in.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, there's nothing the G-Lady has offered to me or would offer that has compelled me to get one or implement it. So, finally, the last thing that our viewer sent in was the debate over the male and female designations for Siri in particular. And so, I mean, part of it was, as Jeff said earlier, for me, it was, it's a female name, or I interpreted it as a female name and as a female voice. And that kind of got locked in my head early. But I know I've heard other people who have a male voice But the funny thing is, except for females who adopt a female voice for Siri, excuse me, let me say that again. Except for females who adopt a male voice for Siri, I really haven't noticed guys saying anything about him as relates to Siri, whatever voice they've chosen. Is that just me or
I think
You
it's
know,
just you.
okay, Andrew? You first, then
so
Jeff.
I recently recently, like probably earlier this year, I did change my Siri voice to the male American voice, but yet I still, if I'm like writing an article, I will still refer to Siri as she. And for me, I think that's just because that's how it was first introduced. Like she started out as a she, and I guess for me, it's just um, tradition. Like, I don't know.
Okay, Jeff?
Okay, so the United States tends to be seen from our perspective as the nexus of everything. So our voice was female sounding, therefore Siri became a she. The UK, their voice is male. So Siri is a he because of that. And but realistically, what we're doing is anthropomorphizing a piece of technology. And if we were doing this right, we would not say she or he, we would say it, because it is a device. It is not something that has a gender at all. It is merely technology. That's it. So what I suppose we should be saying is something like, well, I have the A box, the S box, and the G box, because that's what they ultimately are. But we anthropomorphize. So because of the sound of the synthesized voice that we hear, it becomes A lady, S lady, G lady. And like Andrew, because that's what we had in the beginning, it doesn't matter what tone, pitch, timbre the voice has. To me, it's A lady, S lady, or G lady. But I should change that.
The A lady does have a typically female name.
And so does the S lady. The S lady is named after the original developer's daughter.
I didn't know that. I've never heard of anybody with that name, but I have heard of people with the A lady's name.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. And the anthropomorphizing thing makes me wonder, Jeff, if that's not part of the reason that these have been so easily and readily adapted. Because it feels like you're talking, I mean, look, I know I'm not, all right, but it feels like you're talking to an entity that you can relate to, as opposed to just some of the old voices we used to have back in the real early days of the Apple II. And so these are, I mean, well, we kind of slide back toward that Knowledge Navigator video that, although we're not quite there yet, but we're heading that direction, but that you have an assistant that you are talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Open the pod bay door.
Mm-hmm. Everybody does that
Jim.
one.
I can't do that. I think you know why.
Okay, that's yeah.
Part of the thing with creating these systems that we can anthropomorphize, that's part of the process. We want technology, and I say we in a general sense, not just specifically us here on the panel. We want technology that's more approachable and is more friendly and is less intimidating. And we also remember Star Trek, where they created this great way of giving us exposition without just having William Shatner turn to the camera and just tell us the story. They talk to the computer, and we want that too. So anything that companies can do within reason to make that more accessible to us, yeah, of course, people are going to gravitate towards that. And creating something that we can anthropomorphize very easily, I think, is an important part of that.
Jeff, I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. I mean, the original Star Trek computer, the one, excuse me, the one from the original series, was much more mechanical sounding, was much more in keeping with the times, of course.
Mhm.
But as we, as we came along to the next generation and the subsequent series, it gained a much more human-like voice, which was, of course, Majel Barrett.
Mhm.
And I think
in the original series and in all the follow-up series.
right, but in the original series, I would assume that the sound was processed to sound more mechanical,
Probably.
whereas that wasn't the case in the subsequent series. So that evolution right there is interesting in the way that the designers, and I know we're talking about a TV series, folks, but on the other hand, these things have really influenced, where a lot of this has gone. And so it feels like it makes some of these devices more approachable and something that you can rely on a little more or talk to a little easier.
Mhm.
And of course, if you say the wrong thing, especially to the S lady, I can't really say I've tried it with the A lady, but if you say the wrong thing to the S lady, she will chide you a bit.
But there's plenty of times she says no comment either if you say something that she doesn't want to talk about.
Mhm.
Right, and those two are interesting design choices.
Yeah, well, they're not going to create these artificial assistants to argue with us, because that would defeat part of the purpose. Well, except for some people who really enjoy that. But generally speaking, we don't want these devices arguing with us. So, if your HomePod, when you say, "Hey, S lady, turn on the living room light," and all the lights in your house go off, and now you just totally go off on that HomePod, and you're just really giving Siri an earful. What you don't want, and I say you as a developer of a product like this, you don't want your device coming back and saying, "Whoa, why don't you dial it down a notch and blow it out and then everything just goes crazy."
It goes in a big circle too. I've tried, trust me.
Yeah, and you can't get these devices to engage you in a fight.
Oh yeah, I put them all next together to see if you could try to get each one of them to battle each other. It's hard to do, but I've seen YouTube videos.
They also can't engage you, period. I think one thing that a lot of people have difficulty with is the fact that these, really have no memory, and it's just whatever you last said. And, when you're talking to a human, you assume context, like I just told you
Mhm.
something, and, then I asked you something else, and people get frustrated because, they assume the context is going to accumulate, and it doesn't.
Yeah, that is so rudimentary right now. I mean, you have a little bit of that with Google, and you have a little bit of that with Amazon, and basically none of that from Apple, which is so frustrating because we're at the point where you would think that we would have the ability for these devices to get some context.
Well, it's very, very difficult.
It is, but they've been working on this really hard for several years now. I mean, it's not like,
Well, I mean, that's
talking.
basically artificial intelligence. It's been worked on for decades.
Yes. Okay, so there you go. They've been working on it for decades.
And, I remember back in the 80s, like, oh, AI, it's going to be here next year.
Yeah, well,
Like 1986 will be the year of artificial intelligence. Oops.
yeah, well, I guess they were a little bit off there.
Well,
And it will be the year of the LAN. Now that happened finally.
That did happen. Yeah, but developers, they're in a bad place with this because Gene Roddenberry back in 1966 gave this to us. And so now we expect it here in 2021, and we don't have it.
And Jeff, I
Well,
think that's a great point.
Arthur Clarke gave it to us too. I mean, it was just, we expect speaking things to be sentient.
Well,
Yes, we do.
And we want them. I mean, that's the interesting thing, I think, is that, we've seen this and it's something we've decided we want. And, here we are, we can't get it. Hey, we have a couple late additions here. Brittany Smith has arrived. Brittany, welcome. It's great to have you.
Thanks. Good to be here.
And Mark Fuccio also showed up with
Hello,
a
everyone.
map. I don't know why. Mark, why is there a map behind you?
Oh, I just need a new background.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were playing a takeover or something.
Is there some significance to that route?
Yeah, that's a cross-country route I drove with my wife last June. So that's the significance of the route.
Very nice. Very nice.
Looks like you wound up in San Luis Obispo.
Yes, that's where we are. Well, actually, Cambria.
Wait, you live in Cambria?
Yes, I do.
I'm on a call. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
Oh, I always thought you lived in the Bay Area. I had no idea.
I do that too. So I mean, we've got we've got a second home, a beach home, vacation home down in Cambria.
Oh, nice. That's a beautiful area.
Oh, that absolutely is.
And he can find it because he has a map.
That's right.
He also has a bunker in New Mexico he doesn't like to talk about, but we'll leave that alone. And Brittany, if I'm correct, are we on the eve of your ADHD conference?
So I have a kickoff event tomorrow, but really the big thing starts on Thursday.
Okay.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting.
For people like me anyway.
Is your presentation all done and ready and you're practiced and ready to knock them dead?
So my video's all done. That's great. The conference platform itself, and this is an audience who will appreciate this. I have a 50-minute talk on video, and their maximum file size is 1 gigabyte.
Oh,
Ooh.
Wow. Ouch.
I can't wait to hear what the workaround for that is.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they get the conference platform to fix it after somebody other than me complains about it. But it might not be till tomorrow or Thursday morning, which is when I'm talking. So I have rendered it in 3 720p chunks that are just barely under 1 gigabyte. And one of them has successfully uploaded so far.
Oh,
Because it keeps quitting and dying on me. And it's...
how can they have a platform with that restriction considering what it's for?
I mean, even if I had really nice PowerPoint slides that are very engaging and visually interesting, that can be over 1 gigabyte easily.
Easy.
Oh, yeah.
Like even if I were doing a live talk, I don't understand. But along with that, I have made, so it's a condensed version. And along with it, I'm going to be releasing a course in this next week.
Hey.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Congrats.
a lot of stuff all at once, but it's on purpose. So
That's great.
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I mean, this can take us, I think we were kind of done with the other, but this sort of takes us in another direction of, some of all the video conference services out there. I mean, I admit, it seems like every week I'm attending something from a new service, and some of them are pretty darn sharp, and some of them are not.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was on one today, and I hate this. I didn't. I'll just leave it alone. But when I clicked the link and saw the service it was launching, I thought, oh no, not again.
And we're using a different one than last year. And I mean, the one we used last year, we weren't going to go with again, but the PGA went with it. So like the PGA Pros, because I was poking around on my mom's computer for her conference. I was like, let me look at your platform. I think this might be the same one. And it totally was.
Yeah. Well, I know one that I had experience with last year and this year. Last year, it was okay. I mean, there were a lot of rough spots. This year, they had really improved it greatly. And I
Do you
think
happen to know which one? Are you willing to say?
I'm not going to say here.
Okay.
I can tell you after hours.
Okay.
But yeah, it surprised me so. And I think at least 50% of that improvement was the fact that the person operating the system understood it and knew what to do with it.
Mhm.
Before, I think things were being slapped together and just brought up to speed because, you know,
A
there
lot
was
of that
money to
happened
be.
last year.
Yeah, well, there was money to be made in virtual conferences, and not everybody was experienced with Zoom, or Zoom, at least in their opinions, didn't necessarily meet their needs or desires.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
one more time, and I want to make sure we do this. It probably won't help you as far as folks listening to the recording, but for anybody live that wants to go, what's the URL to go and sign up?
Oh, I can give it to you because it's not pretty. I can give it to you to put in the show notes, and I can put it up in the chat.
Okay,
I just have
throw
to
it in
go
the
grab
chat.
it.
Yeah, throw it in the chat so people, because this one,
Yeah.
as I recall, I mean, there's a free tier. Is that correct?
No, there's a coupon
No.
code though.
Oh,
There's just
coupon
a
code.
paid tier and a higher paid tier. Think of it as
Okay.
like OmniFocus.
Okay. Well, just throw everything in the chat that you can. And folks, if you
Yeah.
are interested in this and you want to hear Brittany speak in 720p chunks, go check it out.
I'll
The
try to
URL
find it
sounds
for
like
ya.
a great marketing opportunity for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Jeff. It's like if you have a conference that has an ugly URL, that's not good.
Oh, it's our fault because we have a website that goes to it, and I don't think it's very pretty.
Oh.
So I'm just gonna give
Just-
people the direct link.
There's always shorteners.
Yes. And had I thought about this ahead of time, I might have done that, but I didn't. So I'll find it and post it in there.
Yeah. Well, we started off the show by talking about anybody who had new Apple gear in hand or on order. Brittany, I know you have a MacBook Pro on order. Mark, do you have anything on order?
No, but I do have new Apple gear. Well, it's new to me at least, and it's M1 MacBook Air. You know, I think I mentioned the last time we were together that I had purchased some 32-inch external displays because I was missing the big size of an iMac 27, and I decided, okay, bite the bullet and just use a 16-inch MacBook Pro for a year, and ultimately decided I really missed the screen, so I got a big external display, and then I checked Apple, and they offered me $260 for my 2013 MacBook Air, and a year ago they were offering me nothing for it. So between that and trade-in value and a little bit of extra money, I was able to trade in, and so I'm just blown away on how fast this thing is, and how it just sips power. So it's a great device. I've been maybe on it, relocated all my files and things for maybe all of about 4 or 5 days now, but it's new. It's not new to Apple, but certainly new to me.
Okay, so I got to ask a couple questions there. First of all, originally or a while back, they weren't going to give you anything in trade-in, and then they decided to give you something. Is that correct?
So this is a year ago when the M1 Macs were first introduced. They were offering $0 trade-in credit for that MacBook. And or actually maybe they were offering a little bit, but it seemed to disappear after about a month's time. So whatever they're doing, this year it's obviously worth a lot more to them to incent people to buy and upgrade. So that's kind of where we are. So next question.
Okay. Well, the second thing that I'm interested in is the MacBook Pros came out, and you decided to go with the Air even after the Pro came out. Was it just a matter of you didn't think you needed the power, or didn't want to spend the price, or didn't want to wait?
I think it was probably more screen and weight. I've had 13-inch devices dating back all the way since 2008, 2009, when I first bought my first MacBook Air. So I really like that. And then looking at that and sort of the 13-inch Pro, just offered a lot of additional weight and maybe not as much battery life, and it costs more money, and the combination of all the three just really didn't make a compelling case to go to the Pro.
But
Okay.
why didn't you talk to me about buying my Air when you knew that this Pro was coming out? That's the thing I need to know.
Oh, I didn't know you were in the market to sell your MacBook Air. I knew
Well,
you.
not
I knew
until
you-
my Pro gets here.
Yeah, I knew you. Yeah. Okay. Well, would you give me $260, additional credit for my,
No, I probably wouldn't be able to do that, but I'm just teasing you.
yeah, I imagine Apple probably, they have these robots, right? They'll take it apart and they'll recycle the aluminum, and they'll probably find a way to recycle the other, ICs and stuff within it as well. But I mean, to me, it sort of begs the question. They're saying, orders are fine and we get more orders that we can make, but now you're offering me, an incentive, for stimulating demand that you weren't a year ago. So it's eye raising, sort of the Mr. Spock eye raise of, oh, this is fascinating. This is not what I expected, but I'm not going to draw any particular conclusion about it other than, thank you, Apple. And I'm really enjoying my new device.
So I can't help it. I've got to say this. It's interesting to me that you see that as an incentive, and I'm questioning where Apple has decided there is a value in that machine, because I don't for a second believe that they really think that that trade-in is going to incent you to upgrade.
I have a
It's-
hypothesis.
I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, it's not, it wasn't the entire thing, but it was a little bit of a bonus surprise. Yeah, it's probably that.
Sure. Jeff, I'll take your hypothesis because I really don't have one.
Okay, so it's known that Apple doesn't actually handle the trade-in program. They're
Right.
using a third-party company for that. So either the third-party company is in a position where they can get more from the recycled parts than they could last year, or Apple has told them, you need to start being more lenient with what you're doing with the recycle program, because we want more of these computers coming back in, to be recycled or whatever. That's my hypothesis.
Well, never know.
But I missed what was the machine that you're getting $260 for?
It was a 2013 MacBook Air that had 512 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes, which was the max at that time, and it was an i7, whatever the maximum processor speed was.
Wow, that seems pretty generous.
I mean, it's a great machine. It's basically hasn't been used much in the past year. So I'd rather trade it in, out to Apple or whomever has, at least $260 worth of. They clearly have more than $260 worth of value, however they choose to use it, because that's what they offered me. Plus a box that will have free shipping to send, for sending it back.
So I don't think this is possible, but could it be that the supply shortage is that much that they felt like they could take those materials, recycle it, and go through that process and still make money on the deal?
Well, that's a possibility. Or again, the other thing is, don't forget that a lot of the manufacturers, so Apple never really discloses their ASP. So you can equivalently, if you go in through the EDU store, you can find things for about $150 less. Same model. So obviously, there's some softness, some ability, some fungibility in Apple's sales prices. And, I suspect that that's part of, what they're doing now is, funging on their fungible sales price.
Interesting. It makes me, I've got an old MacBook Air. I'd be lying to you if I could tell you which year or what model, but it's the last time I looked, they were going to give me $30 for it. And it's like,
Well,
for 30 bucks.
I recommend,
Maybe
I'd
it's worth
recommend
60 now.
I'd recommend going back and checking, and it might be worth it. And you might get a nice Apple Apple credit, Apple gift card that may satiate you in buying other peripherals or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, if they give me $36, $37, I could get 2 Apple cleaning cloths.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to wait. Oh, did everyone see iFixit's review of the cleaning cloth? Their teardown of the cleaning cloth?
Yeah.
Well, Mark, I didn't wait. I have it. So you got here late.
Oh, you
Was
must
it a
act really
joke?
fast, David.
Was the teardown a joke?
No, it's legit.
How do you tear it down?
They took a pair of scissors to it and
And
cut
just
it
pull it
and
apart.
to see the
Turned
inside.
out it's laminated 2 layers.
Yeah, and in the repairability
What is its
0 out of 10.
repairability score?
0.
0, yeah.
Okay.
Nice try, Brittany. I think the joke fell flat.
Yeah, I think the reason is they buried it inside of a review of of a MacBook Pro, instead of having it as a standalone on its own. But
It falls outside of their typical scope.
Yeah.
Well,
You know what I discovered this week?
No,
Okay.
tell us.
What?
When you refresh the Apple Store app, it doesn't make your computer show up faster.
Oh,
Oh,
I know, right?
that's lame.
Despite all of the things
How do you know?
that make me think that will happen, because I've been doing it a lot. It looks like it's coming at the same time.
yeah, I've tried that too, Brittany. It doesn't help.
I know. Sorry, I only have silliness left in me.
There have been quite a few people that have said their computers have shown up sooner than it was originally
I'm
they were
guessing
originally told.
they ordered something closer to stock than I did.
I'm suspecting that they're under committing and over delivering to make sure everyone is thrilled and ecstatic.
Hopefully, because I would be very sad if it were behind schedule. So,
What was your configuration, Brittany?
I did not opt for the 8 terabytes
Okay.
because it's easier to say what I didn't put in it.
Okay, then still have a lot of other choices though.
Next.
And they're all the
Or-
top.
Yeah,
So it's
she's
everything.
got all of them.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that is a bit some available, and people have gotten that what you're ordered in the Apple stores. That's something you might be able to walk into a store
It
and
didn't
walk out
say
with.
it was available on the app, and since that would involve 4-hour drive from where I am right now, I didn't do it with the conference and stuff.
Oh, yeah, with the 4-hour
Oh well,
drive.
you
Yeah.
you could have gotten
Right.
an Uber. You could have gotten an Uber and worked in the car.
I
on the
used to do
side.
Amtrak all the time because my house in Portland is actually along the Amtrak line. But yeah. Then I'd edit video, which is exactly why I need this new computer to show up and not use the Air anymore.
Yeah, I'm thinking a 4-hour Uber. You'd be better off buying the car, driving down to Portland, going back, and then selling the car.
Yeah. But no, I love Amtrak. It's great. I have a great time.
So you're close to the downtown station?
No, I live along a rail, like one of the Max lines, if you know Portland. So it's a very easy
But Amtrak
trip to downtown.
doesn't stop anyplace other than
Right.
She
It
just
stops
runs
downtown,
down the
but
street and
then
jumps on.
I walk 2 blocks and get on the Max and take the Max
There
down
you go.
to my house. Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Only say I took
Or I
the
liked
Amtrak
it in
from,
the before times.
Yeah.
I can only say I took the Amtrak from Seattle to Vancouver.
Oh, I used to take, what was
To
it?
which Vancouver?
Vancouver in British Columbia.
Ah,
I used to take the
Because-
Amtrak, the Acela from Washington Union Station in Washington to Penn Station, a couple times a year for about 10 years. And, it wasn't bad. It certainly beats driving or flying. If you're flying, it would take longer because of the waits to the airports and things, but
mhm.
it gets you right in Penn Station and boom, you're there anywhere you need to get to in Manhattan is a nice, easy connection. And it's they have absolutely silent cars, and then they have normal sort of business class and cattle class cars, and it's overall quite a good experience.
Yeah, I've done the same thing, Mark, from Harrisburg to Penn Station, with a change of trains in Philly. And the trick there was always just make sure you didn't have to change trains; that they would just hook you to a new engine, and
Right.
and take it. That so that you just could, other than maybe 3 or 4 minutes of no electricity, and no lights, just sit there and relax, and they drop you off at Penn Station. It is absolutely great. Jeff Gammett says MacVoices Live, all aboard.
All aboard.
Call aboard.
Yeah.
You and your people in your reliable train systems. It's Union Station in Denver. It's oh my
The
god.
beautiful
When I did
station
this
in
regularly,
Denver.
Jeff, I need to specify I didn't have coaching clients afterwards. I always did it for the afternoon train
Mm-hmm.
because
Okay, that makes sense.
because stuff can happen. Like it's not guaranteed to get you there on time. And so
Yeah,
I didn't do that.
yeah, it's a good thing Union Station in Denver is a beautiful train station, because when you show up for a morning train, you're going to be there until the afternoon waiting for your train.
Where were you going, Jeff?
Grand Junction.
Hmm.
Oh, sure, because the train was late from Chicago. It got 36
this is
hours
just
to get
how-
late before it
It's
gets
just
to
how
you.
it works. Like all the time.
That-
There are no trains that leave
is-
Union Station on time. Period. Ever.
Right, but that train is coming from Chicago.
Yes.
So it's got a lot of opportunity to get late before it gets to Denver.
Yes. And yeah.
But that
and
that
yet,
is the best train ride in the United States, I think. Denver to Grand Junction. That is just so
It's-
beautiful.
I agree. It is absolutely wonderful. And yeah, just amazing. And if you ever have the chance to do it, totally do it. And you do it as an experience. It's not like you're thinking, oh, I need to do a quick train ride halfway across Colorado, so let's just go do this. No, you plan to have your downtime waiting several hours for your morning train. And in many cases, your cars will be there, but there's just no engine to take them anyplace.
Right. I was hoping to drive it this past June, but there was some rain and parts of Highway 70 were closed due to mudslides. So
they're still closed.
Yeah, they're still closed. Wow. Because we ended up going north to 80 highway, Interstate 80 through Wyoming back down into Salt Lake City to resume our planned trip. But really, they're still closed. That's amazing.
Well, it's more like
it was more than some rain.
Yeah, it was pretty massive.
Okay.
Jeff, how long is the train ride from Denver from Denver to Grand Junction? I mean, since it's so beautiful, what kind of time commitment are you investing?
I want to say it's like 6 hours, but I'm not sure, because you have the frustration waiting for the train.
Basically all day. It's all day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's an all day thing, whatever. But the thing is, once you're on the train, it doesn't matter because it's just this glorious experience of getting to see all of this uh, Colorado stuff that you typically don't get to see. And I mean, and
It
it
follows
doesn't
the
matter what time of
Colorado
year.
River for 240 miles.
Yes, and
And
there's
some of the
this-
canyons, there's no road.
It's 9
Right.
hours,
7 hours.
9 hours.
Oh, 9
so-
hours. Okay. Well, it
wow.
felt like 6.
Okay.
So there's a stretch when you're going along the river where if it's the time of year when people can be out river rafting,
They'll
where
moon you.
it's yes, and it's a thing. They moon you.
All right, so we've been chastised in the chat room by Brad, who says, "Please stay on topic. This is Mac Voices." So he's got
Hey,
a point. But
Hey,
I thought we
made it
ran out of
clear.
them.
Mac Voice is all aboard.
yeah, Mac
Yeah,
Voices all
yeah.
aboard. What was the Irvin the body
I-
art edition of Mac Voices earlier? So yeah, it's this.
I was listening to Core
How do you
Intuition a few
spell
weeks ago, and
that,
they turned into
Chuck?
all trains also.
How do I spell what, Brittany?
Body art.
BODY space ART.
Just curious.
How
How would
it?
you spell it, Brittany?
No, I just needed to know which one you meant.
Well, the other
Okay,
one.
on that, I'm afraid we're now about to transition to After Dark. So
Yes.
let's go around the room and find out where we can find all these people when they're not riding trains or getting tattoos. And I'm going to take it from the bottom up. Mark, thanks for getting here. I'm glad you made it. Where can folks find you?
Best place is Twitter at Mark Fuccio, MarkFuccio, all lowercase, one word.
Great. That was the train calling him, letting him know it's time to go. Brittany, good luck with your conference. I hope it all goes well.
Thanks.
We'll
Yeah,
be
I think I'll
anxious to get a report
survive.
from you. Well, the question
Yeah.
is, will the platform survive? But
We'll find out. I mean,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. So where can we find you?
If you're looking for nerdy stuff and I feel like tweeting, I'm ADD Liberator on Twitter. I have the same handle on YouTube. If you're looking for ADHD conference updates, those would be like on Twitter, those would be devise_conquer. I think that's right. And when I actually do get my course up, if somebody's interested in that, I will probably, I mean, not immediately, but at some point I'll have a YouTube announcing it. So we'll do that too.
Great. Well, good luck. Thanks for
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Andrew Orr, the man with the new wrist tattoo. We'll be anxious to see if your ink fades or not, Andrew. We'll send you up in a space shuttle and see if it fades extra fast there.
I'm here for that. That sounds great.
Yeah, I knew you would be. Where can we
So
find
you can find me writing about Apple and all sorts of tech stuff at macobserver.com. And on Twitter, I am Andrew at Andrew or not.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Andrew. Good to have you. Jim Ray, you've been kind of quiet today. I'm not quite sure why.
Have I? Well, I didn't
I
buy
thought so.
anything new.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
I do have a like Mark, I do have an M1 13-inch Pro that I'm really just sort of transitioning to. So it's new to me, but it's old to everybody else.
It's all right. Where
so-
can folks find you?
Provue.com, PROVUE.com, and on Twitter at ProVueJim. Same weird spelling.
Great. Thanks for being here, Jim. Jeff Gammett,
Chuck Joyner.
did your sofa survive the fan incident?
Well, the smoke alarms didn't go off, so I'm going to go with yes.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah. So first, it's always so awesome to get to hang out with you, Chuck. You rock.
Thank you, sir.
And then second, Twitter and Instagram, jgamut, youtube.com/jgamut for my videos. And here on Tuesdays, Thursdays, the big show, Fridays, the Mac show, and some weeks on Thursdays, In Touch with iOS. And recently I've done Apple Context Machine, and in a few minutes with Ken Ray. I get around.
Yes, excellent. Just Google him. He's everywhere.
Just Google me.
Last but not least, Mr. David Ginsburg, the man with the expensive cloth. Where can we find you, David?
I will also second that. It's always great to be here with you, Chuck. I will say that I am at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. And you also could find my YouTube page at YouTube channel, I should say, youtube.com/DaveG65. I'm on Twitter, DaveG65. I'm on the Mac Show with Jeff and Chuck on Fridays usually. And you can find me. Thanks.
Excellent. And I've missed you guys too. We took a week off. Not going to do that again until probably toward the end of the year, depending on how the conference schedules go. But yeah, Tuesday nights is always way too much fun here. And as always, I want to thank the chat room, the folks there who are throwing comments in and just showing up every week. It's always great to have you guys. Love the comments. Love the fact that you get some value out of this, whether we're talking body art or train rides or whatever. So this is Mac Voices Live, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. We would love to have you too join us at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. So put it on your calendar. Tell your A lady, your S lady, or your G lady to remind you next Tuesday to be here. Until then, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. Thanks for watching. Thank you, guys. That was different.
Well,
Was it a real tech podcast before I showed up?
Yes.
Sometimes.
On and off.
Okay.
We asked Andrew to show us his tattoo. Then we had to specify which one we wanted to see. That was almost.
Yeah.
So I have a story for you all. So on a Saturday afternoon, I went with a friend of mine. Went to a Stanford football game, and we got there early and started tailgating things. And then somebody said, "Oh, did you hear about Facebook's Meta?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Who hasn't?" He says, "Do you know what Meta stands for?" I said, "I had no idea." It says, "Oh, it's Make Everything Trump Again." And I thought about that, and I thought, I wonder if I can get that domain. So forgot about it. The game started at 7:30. So anyway, got home, got up the next morning around 9:15. I went to my domain registry and checked, and somebody had registered that domain, makeeverythingtrumpagain.com, on Saturday around 5:16 p.m. California time. So I was hoping, man, I could buy it for 10 or $15. I'm sure I'd be able to sell it for a couple thousand, and damn it, I missed.
An expensive football game. It
was a great game, except Stanford lost, but that's the way it goes.
Okay, enough of that. I want to hear Jeff's story.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Is it safe on the stream?
Thanks for remembering.
It's safe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question, David. Is it safe for the stream?
It's safe. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So, Brittany, the backstory for you is that when we were talking about Andrew's tattoo, I asked if anyone has ever done a tattoo where they left an open circle in it. That's the right size for their Apple Watch sensors. And then Chuck asked if I was volunteering to get a tattoo to test this out, and I said, actually, I can't get a tattoo because this keeps me out of jail. And then everyone was like, now we want to know the story. So I said that I would hold it until we got to After Dark, so that that Patreon members have something to either enjoy or be disappointed with, whichever. So here's the story. All right. And there is some backstory on this leading up to the to the revelation for me that tattoos were off the table. Years ago, I was routinely getting stopped like every like every 6 months. And it was traffic stops where there was actually no reason for me to get a ticket. And what I found out is that I matched the description of a guy named Jeff Gamet who had warrants out for him. And so, I'd have to show my driver's license, and I get lots of quizzing, and it was, there's a couple times where I was like really concerned that I was going to get arrested, and never actually did. And then I was able to find out more. It turns out this guy has a criminal history that if you print it out, it's longer than I am tall. And so it was so bad that there were times where I actually got served papers for this guy. And, when you say you've got the wrong guy, it's never real. It's the real guy saying, hey, you've got the wrong guy. But in this case, it was actually true. They got the wrong guy. And so then I'd have to call these attorneys and say, hey, you had papers served on the wrong guy. And they're like, oh, crap, you're right. But anyhow, there was one time where I'm driving off to some appointment and I get stopped, and I'm like, oh, yep, it's about that time of the year again. And this cop comes up and he says, do you know why I stopped you? And I said, well, I don't think I've done anything wrong. So my guess is you're looking for the other Jeff Gamet. And he just kind of looks at me. I'm like, here's what's been going on. And he looks at my ID, checks everything out, and he says, lift up your sleeve on your left arm. And I do, and there's nothing there. And he's like, okay. He says, just so you know, this guy has tattoos on his left upper arm and several other places on his body. And at that point, I was like, oh, as long as I never have tattoos, then I have an easy way to prove that I am not this guy. And then about 6 months later, I got stopped again, and the cop walks up to the window and he goes, do you know why I stopped you? And I just pulled my sleeve up, and he goes, you've been through this before, haven't you?
Oh my God.
Wow.
They're like renting your license plate and finding your name from you driving by.
Yeah, because there were all these warrants out for this guy, and they know what he looks like, and the cops would see me in the car, and they'd be like, that looks like this guy. And they'd run the plate, and they're like, holy crap, it's the same name, it's this guy. And then they stopped me, and it wasn't the guy.
Oh, wow.
And and I haven't been stopped for being him in several years. And I
He died.
heard he was in jail.
Oh,
But I don't
that's
know.
macabre.
Yeah.
You should change your name. You should change your first name to the real.
That's
Oh,
brilliant.
Mark, you are on a roll tonight with that, aren't you?
or just get your tattoo on your wrist that says, this, I am not the Jeff Gamet you're looking for.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
I was trying for the Star Wars thing, Brittany, and apparently it didn't take.
I got it, but
You got it?
yeah,
Still not a good idea.
But he could do the thing with his wrist, this is not the Jeff Gamet you're looking for.
And then they'd be like, hey, he has a oh no, he's not the okay. Yeah.
Then they have to know which tattoo, not just know there is a tattoo. And oof, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just have too short of an attention span. What will I like for that long? What will I still love when it's misshaping it to my wrinkles? Like, yeah.
Oh, you
Oh
mean
my
Tattoos aren't
God.
in the cards for me
Get
either.
Baby Yoda. And then as you age and get wrinkles, then it becomes grown-up Yoda. I'm not helping, and I should stop talking.
Yeah. I have a friend who just a couple weeks ago said that he doesn't love anything enough to get its name tattooed on his body, and he said it in front of his wife, and it's like, that was the wrong thing. It was the wrong thing, Keith. Don't say no. Oh,
Yeah, they're fine. They're just not for me.
And they're clearly not for me.
No.
does any? Well, okay, so we know Andrew does. Anybody else have tattoos of any kind? No, me neither. Okay.
Mark is saying no because we'd asked to see it, and then it would just be this really awkward situation.
You'd have to ask you to turn off the live stream first.
Yeah.
Brad in the chat room, if you thought we were off topic before, we took it to a whole new level.
In
Oh,
all
man.
fairness, they were out of topics at that point.
Well, we could have
They?
jumped off into what's this they stuff?
You were off topics. You were out of topics before I showed up.
Oh, we weren't out of topics. I had some in reserve, but it was getting a little late.
Oh,
I
you were
always
backup
have something.
topics.
I
Oh, 'cause
always
when
have
I-
something in reserve.
When I came in, it just sounded like it was an end of discussion, and then Chuck
Yeah.
welcomed us in. Brittany, you
I
and
came in at the same time as you, Mark.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you were here maybe a little longer. Okay,
Nope.
perfectly synchronized.
Nope. I always have emergency topics just in case. So
Just in case we accidentally talk about Amtrak for like 20 minutes.
How about those Astros?
yeah.
Seriously, I want my computer here right now.
Oh,
And it's not like I don't have other things to occupy my mind. I totally do. And then I'm like, oh, you know what's easier than finishing my work I need to do before the conference? Checking out on that computer.
Mhm. What's your delivery
Humans are
date
interesting animals.
The 10th through the 17th.
of November or December?
Yeah, of November.
Okay.
10th is
Yeah.
my birthday.
So I ended up going with my first choice instead of my reasonable choice, but because I was just looking at it casually and it was sort of like in my little purchasey window. And then I was like, oh, wait, these are actually running out of stock. Crap. And I still kept that date. So that's the one I kept when I was looking, because the other ones were all December. And I was like, well, nuts to that. I've got a long flight between now and then. I want my new computer on the new flight. A long flight.
well, I told everybody before you were here that mine, I now have a notice that it'll be delivered on the 15th, and I now have a tracking number, and it's in Japan as we speak.
What?
So,
I do not have
yeah.
those things.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see if FedEx can get it here.
Aren't you just like one tier down from me, Chuck?
Let's see. You got the 4. Yeah, I'm the 2. I'm the 2 terabyte, but everything else is the same. So,
I've had
Did
5.
you order the same time, same day, roughly?
Same
Yeah.
day.
yeah, I know. I mean, I took a little longer because I had a bunch of credit, numbers to enter in. And I think that's one thing that kicked me back a little bit, but I don't know that for sure since I've like Brittany ordered a custom config. So it'll get here when it gets here.
By the way,
And I
Mark,
called
the
them later to
Astros are
get
losing.
that straightened out.
I said, by the way, Mark, the Astros are losing right now.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, well.
I would have gone for the 8 terabytes if Apple priced it remotely reasonably for larger storage, but it's not.
That is a lot of money.
That's
By the
a
way,
lot
I
of
did
money.
almost the exact same thing for the last MacBook Pro I bought in 2013, and I just didn't get the 1 terabyte. And so I had 512 forever, and I still do, and I'm done.
Yeah, I've learned a long time ago that I really I could use more, but I really need 2 because 1 is not enough. 2, I don't have to do a lot of swapping on and off. But if I have 1 terabyte, I'm forever trying to, okay, so how do I get rid of this file? How do I squeeze enough free space out? So,
And
not a good idea.
I can claim that it's the video files all day long, and it is, but I always get the max storage on my phone too. So I just like having room for things.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't
well-
want the iCloud to do that thing where it's like, no, it's not local anywhere. We managed that for you. And I was like, but I still wanted it here.
Well,
Well, I don't know about you.
2 years, no one's going to remember what the difference in price was.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I I guess the way I look at it is this is something that I use like hours and hours and hours every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've wasted money on things that I don't use nearly as much. And so that's my justification that, you know, I need to buy what I can really use because I know that I will be using it. There's no question. So I'm going to shut the live stream down. So we're going to say goodnight to you all fine folks who are still with us. I think there are 5
Ciao.
folks
Bye,
in
live
there.
stream.
Thanks, live stream. We'll see you next week.